Hi, John.
Hey.
So glad to have you here. What I'd like to do is ask you some questions to help with superintendents of what's working, what's not. So what would you say, describe to me what data-driven processes are you currently using that you're finding are successful in the area of math?
Right. Okay. So we work with NWEA, and right now we just got our mid-year evaluations back. So we're just kind of leveraging that data and looking at where the students are kind of like in the yellow band, those middle students. What is it specifically that they're missing that they need? So NWEA is a great tool where we're able to kind of really dig in deep and look at the specific areas that those students need support in.
Got it. We know that math is normally the gatekeeper for kids to go to college, especially in secondary.
Yeah.
What processes or procedures have you put in place to help get those kids into algebra, geometry, and passing the first time around?
Right. Yeah, it's hard. I'm at a pre-K through 8 school, and really the thing that I've recognized is that math is really tied to SEL in a number of ways, right? I was a former school counselor, so kind of that's really my lens in general. But you just see it kids say, "Oh, I'm bad at math." That's just something that you hear often, right?
Yes.
So really just trying to change the mindset. And even adults, most teachers are really more inclined toward reading, literacy. That's really where a lot of the energy is. And people feel real anxiety around math. So really kind of helping students feel comfortable taking academic risks. That's something that's really important, and just kind of building that confidence.
Yeah, so true about the mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
We want them to have a mindset of mathematicians, not where parents say, "Oh, I wasn't good at math either," right?
Exactly.
And it's like, no, we really want them to think of themselves as problem solvers, right? In the area of AI and personalization, how do you see things going forward? Like, how can we use AI and personalization to help those kids that are struggling in math?
Yeah, I love, just the idea of what you just said is something that's really intriguing to me. AI is not going anywhere. Technology is not going anywhere. That's what kids feel most comfortable connecting with. So you're really trying to figure out how to leverage those tools, right? That's something that I really try to focus on in my building is, leveraging technology to help us instead of having this constant battle with students around technology, right? And I think it's our job as schools to educate students on how to use technology appropriately, how to use AI in a way that doesn't, create plagiarism, but, is a way to amplify your work. So, I totally can see how AI is going to help students with their math, even just like tutoring and, making it more engaging and again, building that confidence. It's a tool that might be able to help students build confidence, which I think is going to be essential for students to have success in that.
Because sometimes all they need is a little validation. Am I doing it right? Am I on the right track?
Exactly.
As superintendent, now that you're kind of coming to the end of the year, it's time for some reflection time. Describe what are the things you're most proud of, especially in the area of mathematics in your district, that you really helped to move the needle forward?
Well, just to be clear, I'm a principal. I'm not a superintendent, so I'm a proud building principal in Connecticut. And in terms of what we've done, again, we're an underfunded district. We don't have a math coach. We don't have some of those physical tools that we need to support our students. So one thing we've really tried to focus on this year is, again, creating that positive atmosphere around math. Right now we're doing Math Madness. So we're having a bunch of games and exciting things around math just to show that it's not this big daunting thing, right? And also with the teachers as well, and getting them the training that makes them feel comfortable to deliver the material.
Oh, I love that you're incorporating games. We know it takes like 100 touches of something.
Right.
Through the games, it takes usually 10 touches for kids to really absorb something.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. What, you probably have like PLCs, structures in places. How are you maximizing those PLCs? Because a lot of times teachers get together and they talk, but they really aren't digging into data. They're really not creating agreements and moving forward. Describe what that looks like for you and at your school?
Well, we have an administrator involved in the PLCs. So there's always kind of an agenda that we try to follow just to make sure that we're maximizing our time when we're together. But something that we've really done is just kind of throwing the data up on the screen, analyzing the data, really dig into specific students, what's really going on, right? So that's really how we're leveraging the PLC time right now.
Like I call it data as a flashlight, right? And then by name and by need. So actually getting into which kids need support, which ones need help. Oh, I love that. That is wonderful. Instructional design. So in the past, we've always kind of done a gradual release model where the math teacher does a little mini lesson, then kids. What does the instructional model look like for you, and have you found some success?
We have a similar model. That small group time is super important. Trying to have some student-led learning, and again, incorporating the fun and the excitement around it. I think that piece is really, really important as well. But it's definitely the teacher's the expert right now, and trying to get the information to the students. But again, we do focus a lot on that small group intervention model in our classrooms. So, teachers are, using stations, having students rotate those stations, and then able to pull those small groups and have that more individualized instruction.
Right. So that station rotation model allows for them to have small group time with kids, which builds relationships, right? Helps dig into what do they need help with. Is that pretty common across the whole school?
Yes.
So that's the model for the whole school.
And across our district, really, we have MTSS, so, multi-tiered intervention system. So, it's going well. We're seeing the growth. The only issue that we have is that, when tier 2 isn't working, we really don't have the math coach for the tier 3. We have a STEM coordinator that pulls our students to work on that, but she really doesn't have the time to do it as efficiently as we get it.
Got it. Yeah. Many districts and schools are having some success doing things like lesson design, right? Or lesson study, where you get together some teachers, anything like that, where you're bringing together to build that collective efficacy and collective expertise, because you can have a master math teacher, but how are they sharing their knowledge with all of this work, this didn't? What does it describe that to? We're having a lot
of conversations around that, really, and just that, making sure that there's cohesion going up, right? Giving my teachers some space and opportunity to connect with the grade lower than them, the grade higher than them, really understanding what the expectations are, and how the students did in the previous year. All of that information is really important, and we're going to prioritize that, especially as we get closer to the end of the school year.
Got it. If I was a brand new teacher at your school, math is my heart and soul. So if I showed up and said, I'm here to teach math, how do I know what I'm supposed to teach? Is it based on the book? Do you have pacing guide? Because that seems to be a challenge everywhere, that you have a brand new teacher comes in, or half the year someone had a baby, someone comes in to step in. What does that look like for you?
Our district has a curriculum warehouse and a pacing guide. And so, that's the expectation, is to actually be able to go into the classroom and know what's going on. But, our district is really transient as well. So we're really trying to create that, again, cohesion across the whole district in terms of, if a student's leaving this building, going to another one, and they don't just kind of fall off the map in terms of what's going on.
Got it.
We really try to stick to it as much as possible.
Oh, that is wonderful. And as a new teacher, what kind of support do I get? Is it from my PLC group? You talked about it, and there's not a math coach. So what does support look like, and who provides that?
Right. Again, that'd be teacher mentorship, administrative support, and also, our district level support. We do have some pretty good people down in the district level that come into the building and really kind of dig in deep with the data with the teachers and give them some specific strategies.
Got it. About how often do they look at data?
What, our teachers? We're looking at it weekly in our intellectual prep periods.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. And are they like mini check-ins? Are they common formative assessments? Like, what does that look like? Because that seems to be a key piece.
How are you leveraging it, right?
Yes.
Really right now it's continuing to refine the small groups, right? That's kind of what we're looking at the data to make sure that the small groups are appropriate, and then the targeted interventions are appropriate. So that's really what we're doing in that time.
Oh, got it. Yeah. If you had one wish, and I could grant one wish for you to help move the needle in mathematics at your school site, what would your one wish be?
one wish.
Yeah, and you can't wish for more wishes.
Yeah, right. Because that'd be wish number one. The math coach piece is an issue. It really is. Our tier 3 students are really, they're not getting the support that they need currently. So we need to continue to figure out how to get the funding to provide that support for our students. And then again, it's really just instilling in all of my students across the board, all content areas, that pride in taking academic risks, right? And that comfort level of doing that. That's really important to me.
Got it. Now that AI is the genie's out of the bottle, how do you see it kind of changing what we want of students, right? Before it was learn this standard, learn these particular, this is the skills we want you to be able to walk away with. How do you see that we have the knowledge at our fingertips now? Right. How do you see it changing what we want for students in the long run?
I think that's a really interesting question. I think people are going to really have to struggle and think through that. Just having a calculator on your phone changes things tremendously, right? I think we do have to be really forward thinking and thinking about what that looks like. But I don't have the answer.
Got it. Yeah. Anything that you would like to share that I didn't ask? Anything that jumps to your mind that you can say?
No. I think mindset is a big part of this. I think it's an underestimated part of this conversation. And, I think that tackling this is going to not just take really great teachers, but it's going to take mental health support and mental health professionals as well.
I agree wholeheartedly, because until those needs are met, and mindset, right, that they really feel like they can take on these tasks and with support and help push them through that uncomfortable, right? That's part of learning, is just moving them through those stages.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, that, like you said before, like, my parents said they're just not good at math. Like, that's just so normalized. We have to figure out a way to kind of impact that, for sure.
I would be sitting in parent conferences and they would say that. And I said, would you say that if you weren't a good reader? You wouldn't say that. Yeah. And they were like, Right. I said, we have to stop saying that, because they're hearing that. And then it makes it okay to just give up, to just stop. And that's the gatekeeper to get them into college. And if we don't start changing their mindset of what it takes to, be a mathematician, right, and that problem solver. Well, thank you so much. It was so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
You too.
Thank you.